carried on the wind, a sound like distant laughter. She knew it was impossible. There was no one here for hundreds of miles. The landscape was no longer just empty, it felt watchful. The towering snowdrifts, carved by the wind, looked like giant, sleeping creatures. The shadows they cast were long and dark, and they seemed to shift and move when she wasn't looking directly at them. Anna started walking, her goal to head in the general direction of the coastline, where there was a slim chance of being spotted. As she trudged through the deep snow, the whispers grew more frequent. Alone, alone, lost, they seemed to say. It was her own fear, she told herself. Her mind was tired, starved and frozen. It was playing tricks on her. The sounds from the ice grew louder too. The groans and creaks were no longer just the natural settling of the glacier. They sounded like voices, deep, guttural moans that seemed to rise from the very heart of the ice sheet. Sometimes she would stop and press her ear to the ground, listening. It was a chorus of strange, unsettling noises. She started seeing things at the edge of her vision. A flicker of movement, a dark shape darting behind a snowdrift. When she turned to look, there was nothing there, just the endless, unforgiving white. The loneliness was becoming a living thing, a companion that walked beside her, whispering lies into her ear. Her hunger was a constant, gnawing pain in her stomach. She had only 2 energy bars left. She rationed them, allowing herself only a tiny bite every few hours. The lack of food made the hallucinations worse. The whispers became clearer, the shadows more defined. She began talking back to them. "Leave me alone!" she would shout, her voice hoarse and weak. The sound was immediately swallowed by the vastness. It was a terrifying thought. Was she going mad? Was the cold and the solitude finally breaking her? The line between what was real and what was in her head was beginning to blur. After days of walking, I came to it. A crack in the ice. But this was no ordinary crevasse. It was a colossal wound in the glacier, a jagged black slash that just stretched for miles in either direction. It must have been hundreds of feet across, and it seemed to drop into an abyss of absolute darkness. There was this strange pale mist rising from its depths, carrying with it a profound, bone-deep cold. I stood at the edge, honestly, just mesmerized and horrified. This was the source of the sounds. The deep, groaning whispers were coming from down there. It was as if the chasm itself was breathing. The crevasse seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. The ice around its edges was this sickly blue-green color, slick and treacherous. As I stared into the darkness, I felt this strange pull, a kind of